Let's talk about Manifest. I know, right? You're going, what? What are you talking about? I'm talking about Manifest. Ladies and gentlemen. Uh-oh, did I just get demonetized because I said fucking within 30 seconds? Manifest, the final half of season 4. The end of Manifest has been announced. Oh my God, Lynette Rice Deadline says Netflix is ready to reveal when part 2 of Manifest's 4th season will come in for a landing. The next batch of episodes are dropping Friday, June 2nd. Here's the itinerary for part 2 of the drama from Jeff Rake, the creator of the show. In the aftermath of Angelina unleashing a devastating volcanic fissure, the passengers face severe scrutiny in a world fueled by the 828er hate, no longer free to solve their own callings without constant supervision by the unscrupulous 828 registry. A mysterious accident delivers ominous warnings on a biblical scale that will further jeopardize the livelihood of all the passengers. As Michaela grieves for the loss of her beloved husband Zeke, she must team up with her old flame Jared to find new methods to investigate callings. Meanwhile, Ben and Sanvi attempt to collaborate with the registry authorities, which only leads to dire results for the passengers. Miraculously, a mythological event reactivates Cal's sapphire-laden dragon scar, offering a glimmer of hope for the 828ers to survive the rapidly approaching death date. But Angelina's nefarious sapphire powers will continue to wreak havoc, leading to a struggle between good and evil down to the very last day in this most terrifying, suspenseful, and joyous chapter of the Manifest story. Okay. Okay. So many of you know that I have a love of the show Manifest. And I think reading that description of what the end of season 4 is going to be pretty much, and by the way, I had not read that until just now. I read it live for the very first time. Manifest is a show I call an impossible premise show, meaning that somebody came up with this like really cool idea for a pilot, kind of like the Lost pilot. And admittedly, you know, as much as I slag on off on J.J. Abrams, I will say that the Lost pilot is one of the great TV pilots of the 21st century. It really is. But an impossible premise show in my mind, is a show that has a great idea for a pilot, but the writers, the people that pitch it, really don't have any idea where it's possibly going to go. They figure, hey, if we sell this and we get to make it, we'll figure it out. They never figure it out. And the first example of this, I would say, was the X-Files. And I love the X-Files. But it was apparent pretty much with the first X-Files movie that came after between the 5th and 6th seasons that the creators of the X-Files really didn't know what was going on. I mean, when they created it, I understand Chris Carter, God bless you. You know, it had its roots in 70s conspiracy thriller films, The Parallax View, 3 Days of the Condor, Marathon Man, All the President's Men. And then that was bolstered by Oliver Stone's tour de force JFK in the 90s. That's kind of where JFK, that's kind of where the X-Files came from. But the thing about the X-Files was, as it went along, they kept adding to this mythology. You had the mythology episodes and the Monster of the Week episodes, but they never figured out their mythology, which was maddening, because you're watching a show and you figure the people that are making it know exactly what's going on. They don't. Impossible premise shows are shows, and for those of you who have never watched Manifest, here's what happened in the pilot. So a bunch of people were coming back from the Caribbean on an airplane from vacation. You know, a bunch of characters. Some of those characters allowed their their next of kin or their other family members to go on a flight ahead of theirs. So they went on this flight, and they flew from the Caribbean back to New York. When the plane landed in New York, somehow it had gone through a rift, a tear, whatever, in the space-time continuum. And the airplane landed 5 years later. So you get in a plane, you think you're going to be home in a few hours, boom, you've landed 5 years later. Your loved ones have moved on. People have their marriages. Everyone who was on that plane, your main characters, we like them because it's from their point of view. But then they suddenly, their friends, their family, their loved ones, their spouses, some of their spouses have moved on. And why did this happen? How did this happen? That is enough for an interesting premise, an interesting mystery to be solved. Oh, but not for Manifest. So somehow, the people on this plane, the 828ers, the people on this plane, they suddenly had what are called callings, where they had these visions, and the visions compelled them to help people that they don't know. You know, some people might have tried to kill themselves, or they were going to be in a car accident. So if you went through this time rift, then suddenly you were getting messages from wherever, and you had to go help people that you don't know not die, essentially. So that's the plot of the show. And then you have government agents wondering, where did they go? How did this time rift happen? And then it just got more ridiculous from there. And the thing that I loved about this show, and the reason I love Manifest, the cast is uniformly excellent. The writing is such glorious gobbledygook. And every time I think about Manifest, I think about Philip Seymour Hoffman as Lester Bangs in Almost Famous. You know, Jethro Tull, amen. And he talks about glorious gobbledygook. Manifest is glorious gobbledygook. They just keep doubling down. There's ancient prophecies and secret government agencies and more people who travel through time. Like one guy walked into a cave in the mountains and walked out a year later. What does that have to do with the airplane and that space-time rift? Don't know. I don't think the writers know either. But they just piled more gobbledygook upon more gobbledygook upon more gobbledygook. And I was watching this going, this is not good, but I love it. I love it. And, you know, Manifest got canceled. I asked Jeff Rake, I contacted him on Twitter how he was going to come on the show, but then the hashtag Save Manifest came out and Netflix saved it. And not only did they save it, they made a 20-episode fourth and final season split into two. I mean, this show, give it up. This cast, my God, I can't even imagine what the table reads are like. A table read, or what they call a page turn. So when you're making a movie, you sit down with all the department heads, and for a page turn is for movies, but I guess a table read, you have a table read for a movie too, but a table read is when everybody comes, the cast, like for an animated show like The Simpsons, the table read of a script is the cast sits around a table, the rest of the crew kind of is around them, and they go through the script and they read it aloud. But for a movie, a page turn, what you do is all the department heads are there, and the director is there, and you turn page after page, and everybody talks about the logistics of everything, and the department heads want to know what the director thinks so they can start gathering their crew together and say, okay, we're going to make this, we're going to do this. I would pay good money to listen to a table read for a Manifest season 3 or 4 script, just to see the actors try very hard to keep a straight face, because this show it's not quite Riverdale. See, here's the thing. Riverdale is just stupid and ridiculous, but Manifest, the cast, they make you believe, man. You're behind them. You're watching it going, man, oh man, oh man. How do you keep us? How can you perform these just emotionally gripping scenes when you are saying the most ridiculous lines? You're talking about a death day. You're talking about prophecies. Gobbledygook. Glorious, glorious gobbledygook. God bless Manifest. You know, whenever you think to yourself that life's too hard, or, you know, maybe it's just not worth it, I would implore all of you to sit down and watch Manifest and think to yourself that somebody not only sold this to a network, was able to keep it on for 3 years, but people were so passionate about this gobbledygook that Netflix came along and saved it and gave it its biggest season ever. There are miracles, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, not just because he is risen. There are miracles for everybody. This Easter weekend, go to church by all means. Take stock in your life. If you walk with the Lord, John 3:16, God bless you all. But also, think about the fact that Manifest was granted a reprieve and got a 4th season, and you think to yourself that all is right with the world. That's all I had to say about that. Check on in. So Impossible Premise is a TV show that they can never solve. They don't have the answer to. We know it. We go along for the ride. They just pile stuff on it till the bullshit is so high that there's so much bullshit that they just dazzle you with how they dance around it, and for whatever reason, you just suck it all up. But at the end of the show, you're like, that was unsatisfying because there's no possible way they can end this because none of it makes any sense, and you're waiting for the time when maybe a revelation will come, and you will be, man, that was awesome. It will never come. It will never come, but Manifest is a show that is so gloriously ridiculous, and they have piled so much bullshit. You have to respect the writing staff. You have to respect the cast and crew. You have to respect those actors, man, because God bless them all. Happy Easter. Manifest was a show that was resurrected. Let's give it up for Manifest, ladies and gentlemen. And if you haven't watched it, by God, what are you waiting for? Go to Netflix now. Telling you. Tell him Bobby B sent you. MC, Bobby B. You know, I was remixing. The breakdown is Manifest. It's just, I can't. It's not quite Tiesto. I don't even know what I'm saying. I haven't even had a drink yet. I was drinking Diet Coke. My God. I'm amped. I'm pumped.